You may be in denial about it, but American Evil, the Codyverse in general, is way more successful and popular than X-Men 97. At the very least, I don't have to coast off an established brand that's been built up for generations only to completely stagnate and fail, right? It was crazy to me to see every YouTuber on both sides of the political aisle try and come out and try to say, well, actually, I'm for slash against woke shit, but X-Men 97 is actually one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen. And like it was pathetic to see all of these people in unison try to come out and say this show was great, it was fantastic, that I didn't really have any real problems outside of the animation. And that was blatantly untrue. Even I, as a casual viewer, I won't even say I'm a fan. I watched a couple of episodes growing up. Okay, I was never a big fan of the classic '90s one. It was before my time, right? But like even I took notice of like the clear and obvious downgrade from the original show. Particularly in the animation department when it comes to character designs, pronouns are in the show. So for that reason alone, I would just completely write it off. I have no intention of watching this thing ever. And that should have been the stance everyone had because there was absolutely no way this show would ever live up to the hype and legacy of the original. This was pure and simple nostalgia bait, the Marvel animation equivalent of Final Fantasy VII remake. Okay, like there was absolutely no positive signs that this would be good right from the onset, and yet throughout the entire run of the show, I believe it's through now. I don't know. Throughout the entire hype cycle of this show, all anybody could do, all the yellow flashes of the world could do was just like, oh, this is the greatest show ever. Oh, it's so good, guys. And now we have confirmation that the show did not do well. Surprising nobody because the Marvel thing is over, right? There will be no recovery from this. Comics aren't doing all that well. They've been overshadowed by manga. The cartoons haven't aged well. The movies haven't aged well, right? The only reason people are consuming Marvel products is because they are consumers, right? All they do is just consume product and then get excited for next product, right? They don't care about the quality or like the artistry. They just want to see the same familiar faces doing the same thing over and over and over again. There is no progression, there is no evolution, there are no real stakes. Okay, there is no variety in superhero stories, right? If you wanted variety, you would have naturally drifted to manga, which did everything that superhero comics ever done better. It's kind of shocking seeing how even series that I don't really care for that much anymore, stuff like Chainsaw Man, how much better and more interesting, how much more respect I have for those characters than what Marvel and DC has. Like, why exactly am I supposed to get excited for X-Men 97 just because it's a reboot of the 90s series, right? Like, why would I care, right? Like, again, nobody was ever able to give any explanation for this, right? And I do think this is the core problem with woke culture, right? This is the main problem with anti-woke culture, is that no matter what happens, these people will consume the product and then come out and like either shill for or be against it, right? When in reality, I think this is like the ideal thing that should have happened in regards to X-Men 97, in regards to the Witcher Netflix series, in regards to everything else that's been coming out lately that people have had problems with, right? Like I think people need to just stop watching, stop caring about these shows, stop being invested, stop thinking that like creators should do what the fans want. Like that's something I've been picking up on lately, like watching a lot of these like grifters, the raging golden eagles of the world. All creators have to do is just give us fan service and we'll throw money at them. Like okay, why not make good products? Why not have real talent? Why not have like more variety? Why not make something that people don't know they want? Like I saw an interview from like Jerry Seinfeld of all people recently where he kind of came out and said that it's very important not to give fans what they want. Right? Like, and that really kind of struck a chord with me in that regard, where it's just like people don't necessarily know what's going to appeal to them, right? And I'm finding more and more when it comes to like the Marvel stuff in particular that like everybody just wants everything to stay the exact same forever with like no growth or change. How long have we been complaining about Spider-Man and how the writers have been mistreating the character and how they don't know how to like evolve him or like do anything new with the character. Now, what you should do is like stop reading, right? Like that's what everybody does. Like everybody should do. But the fans keep doing this thing where they're just like, "Oh, Peter Parker should grow up and get married to Mary Jane and start a family with her." I remember that was a thing where like they were celebrating that like, "Oh man, this comic where the one and only Spider-Man, Peter Parker, gets married to Mary Jane and has a family is the best-selling comic recently. Oh, this proves that creators should do what the fans want." But like, have we not gotten that like several times already? Like again, to me, like, why exactly do you need to see the same story be told over and over and over again with the same characters? Right? It doesn't make any sense. The comic book industry is a sham, I think. Like the entire thing revolves around this idea that these characters are some moral arbiters that like dictate the way that the audience views the world, right? Like so many people I know will like try to advocate. How many people? Again, I've noticed this in regards a lot when like people talk about my views on like comic book characters. People get like visibly upset when I talk about how Batman would not be able to fix the problems in Gotham by dressing up as a bat and beating up like poor people, right? People get upset when I say Superman wouldn't be able to fix the world's problems. People because that goes against the very nature of the characters, right? Like they're supposed to go out and do this crazy things. They're supposed to be good people, but really, and I do think this is I do think this is true. I think superheroes diminish the value of real heroes. People every day who go out and do more than these fictional characters ever could, right? Like to me, I find it like very frustrating how people get obsessed over Batman while not really being invested in like real world situations at all involving real people and real stakes and real conflicts and real lives, like to me it just doesn't make any sense, right? To me, like the comic book fan base, the man children, right? They really do look at these characters as their gods, right? Who can do no wrong, who can't be beaten in fights. Like look at how upset they get whenever people point out that like Goku or whoever could like solo the entire DC universe, right? Like, oh, that wouldn't happen. Haven't you seen those deck battle episodes? Like Superman can hold an entire book with infinite pages in it with his bare hands. Like, so like it's just pathetic, right? Like they are so desperate to pretend that like these characters are just the best that they'll do anything to kind of pretend that they are. I've seen so many people try to say that like the X-Men are like some of the most recognizable fictional characters ever. Not true, right? Like I've seen people say that like that that these are amazing stories. Like these are going to be timeless tales, and they're just not. Like that couldn't be more apparent. Like even now it feels like the stuff that happened in the 90s was a lifetime ago, right? Even now I'm starting to point out that like, Batman the animated series wasn't that great. Like there are people who are acknowledging that like, the superhero thing is played out. It's not interesting. It's the same thing and over again. Why exactly should I care about what happens within these worlds and with these characters, when we all know it's all just going to result in the same thing all over again. A superhero has never actually fixed any of the problems in his or her own universe.